G'day guys, welcome back to Beast Lab. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at this relay board. Arrived in the mail yesterday. Very inexpensive, I think it was only about $11 Australian. We'll hook that up to the mega board and just do a little test on it. Hopefully we can get some lights flashing or something like that. I've hooked up these leads here, ready to go. Positive and negative, and then your signal wires to each of the relays. So then I'll hook up probably 3 volts on the other side here, bridge them together. I'll put some LEDs in there and see if we can get some coloured lights flashing or something like that. So stay tuned, we'll see what this little board can do. The first thing I'll do is join up all the commons together of the relays. I've got some red jumper wires to do that. The common terminal of each of the relays is in the center there. So I'll just bring 3 volts to each of those commons, just by looping them all together. So that's 3 done there, that'll be your feed in, 3 volts, and it'll just loop across to each of the commons. And then once the relay switches, you can get your 3 volts out and hopefully that'll light a LED up. So there's all the commons looped together. Now that'll be able to bring 3 volts to each of those relays. Now I can work on putting a jumper wire in from the normally open of each of the relays over to an LED on the breadboard. I've pulled out the breadboard. We'll put each of these normally open contacts into a separate row of the breadboard, and I'll just space them apart a little bit to give myself some room. So I'll carry on doing that, and then we can bring the LEDs and plug them in here and run a negative back to the board. I've got a bunch of different coloured LEDs there. We'll take a look at one of them. This longer pin here is the anode, which is positive, and the shorter pin there is the cathode, which is negative. So that long pin has got to go into the hole with that wire that comes out of the normally open contact, just like that. So it's positive here and negative there. Put the rest of these lights in. Put in 1 LED for each of the relays. So there's 8 lights. Now we can loop those negatives together. So I'm picking up each of the cathodes and running that back to the ground there, or negative. This rail here is all negative, and then they run from one end of the board to the other there. So let's just pick up every one of those cathodes and bring it back to that bar. I've hooked up the positive and negative of the board back to my power supply. It's going to give me 1 amp, which is pretty much required to run all those relays. The little mega board is not going to be able to handle that. So we power that up from over here, and we'll give it 5 volts. And 1 amp. The power supply set up there, 5 volts, 1 amp. We'll give the board some juice from there, and then switch everything from the mega board. I'll turn the power on, got that power supply, we've got that green indicator up, so I've got power to the board now. I've had to change things around a bit. The power from the little mega board wasn't going to handle all of the load very well, so I've given the relay board 5 volts from one power supply, and then the LED circuit I've given 3 volts from my second power supply. So here they are, 3 volts there, and 5 volts on that one. So those digital outputs are feeding into the trigger of those relays. All the red lights are on there, telling you that that relay is energized. It's closed that normally open contact and given power to the LED. I swapped out a couple of those yellow LEDs for white ones. They're very dull for some reason, the yellows. So I've got those white ones in there now. See if I can change a bit of that code and get these to blink. I've loaded a sketch into the mega board. It's going to make those lights flash. It's a bit of a lighting display. We'll just see how those relays operate. Here we go, I'll plug it in. And there's the pattern. You can see the relay lights are all firing up there, and the LEDs that are corresponding with those relays. Those outputs could be anything. They don't have to be lights. They could be motors, or fans, actuators, anything really. So it's up to your imagination what you want to control with that relay board. You can control 240 volt loads, or low voltage loads, or extra low voltage. But it's good for around 10 amps, so as long as your load is less than 10 amps, that little relay board will handle it quite nicely. Pretty impressive little thing. Not bad for $11. I was looking at those relays at a local electronics store. I think they were about $7 each from there. So to get 8 on a board ready to go for $11, you can't beat it. So check out eBay or AliExpress. You'll find plenty of them there. Who knows what you can come up with. So thanks for watching this episode of Beast Lab. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below, tell me what you think, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Take it easy.